Hi folks, thanks for joining me. My name's Dave Perry and I've had to come inside today to my den of iniquity because the good old Irish weather has decided once more not to play ball, and I don't fancy standing outside in the pouring rain to show you exactly how to mount GoPros onto your motorcycle helmet, which is what I'm here to do today. I've been contacted by a few of you in regard, I suppose, to my last series on this channel called Spin on Sunday, as to how I get the picture quality I've been getting and indeed the audio quality to go with that. So I thought I'd make this short video explaining what my setup is and how to get the best settings out of your GoPro. I should start by saying that I've been a broadcast TV cameraman for 30 years and I still am. That's what I do for a living, so I suppose I know a thing or two about cameras and also where to place cameras to get the best angles. All of that stuff is coming in future videos, so make sure you do subscribe and give me a like, and then you'll be notified when those videos do come out. But for today, it's purely the GoPro setup on the motorcycle helmet, how I get sound into that, and where exactly I mount it to get my main A-cam, as I call it. Fucking fly. Fucking fly. It. It's on my f***ing arm. It's on my f***ing leg now. Twat. So we'll start with this. This is the first thing you need, full face helmet. This is better than any other type of helmet because it has this and it keeps the camera rigid. It's something solid you can mount the camera to. I'm going to show you the chin strap I have, which goes on here in a second. But first of all, I'll just explain why I mount the camera here. This basically matches the exact pivot point of your head, which is between your ears. So you probably don't realize when you're looking around, you're doing it subconsciously, and there's a very, very good chance that you'll always hit the shot with whatever you're looking at if the GoPro is mounted there. 9 times out of 10, you'll hit whatever your eyes are looking at with the GoPro mounted there. You'll never... Let me find the GoPro somewhere on this messy desk. There's a reason this messy desk isn't in shot. I'll show you exactly how I mount it in a moment, but you will not mount the GoPro looking straight ahead because your head is never like that. Your head is always like that on a motorbike. So you need to get the angle of the GoPro correct when you're mounting it like that. That's the first thing I'll say. So a lot of people place the cameras on top of the helmet or at the side. I don't like that for a couple of reasons. You can't see when you go up there, when you're driving along and you press the record button, you can't see the screen on the back, or indeed if it's at the side. So you just don't get that visual reference that the camera is actually recording. And I know in times gone by, I would get home from a motorcycle ride and realise then that actually the camera hadn't recorded a single thing. If you keep the camera in front of you there, you can have a little glance down to where the camera is, and with the screen on the back, you'll get a little reference and you can see the little red record button. So you know that the camera's recording at least. Okay, I use this. It's a GoPro Hero7 Black edition that has all the bells and whistles on. The GoPro 8 is even better. The only reason I haven't gone for that is because the GoPro 9 is around the corner. The GoPro 8 has much better stabilization, slight increase in picture quality, but nothing really to write home about. But with the stabilization, it takes out all of the bumps in the road, and it's really rock steady footage. It's fantastic. But saying that, the Hero 7 is pretty darn good anyway. You'll need to take the side door off to feed the next bit of kit I'm going to show you into. This is the audio interface. You can buy that off GoPro's website for 65 quid. Well, I'm saying you can. You probably can't, because I tried for months to get one and they're constantly sold out. Unless they're sold out to everybody motorcycle vlogging. But I had to buy this one on eBay at a premium. I paid €100 for this. But anyway, when you get it, you pop that into the side, which is why you need to keep the side door off. And then your microphone, which is the next thing I'll talk about, plugs into the rear of that. So using the audio adapter really is the only way to get decent quality audio into this particular GoPro. Other people do it differently. Some people record sound separately onto a machine called a Zoom H4n or similar, which they would hide in a jacket, record audio separately onto that device and then sync it all up in the editing process. But for me, I can only tell you what I do, what I prefer doing on my motorcycle vlog videos, and I wouldn't be doing that. It just takes so much time syncing up the sound afterwards. Another way people do it is just to record the picture, and then once they've edited that pictures, again, when they get home and looking on the computer screen, they then do a live voiceover to the pictures on the computer screen. I just think that's so fake. You can tell, well, indeed I can, you can tell people who do that are just, they're not there because they're not reacting to things instantly, what they're seeing in the pictures whilst they're on the bike. And I think I've already mentioned it as well. I mean, we get excited on a bike. You know, your intonation changes when you're talking to a camera when you're on a bike. And indeed, on one of my last videos, a buzzard flew out right in front of me on one. I think it was my last spin on Sunday. A buzzard just literally crossed my path. And I was able to react to that straight away because I was recording the sound on board the camera. Oh, look at that beautiful buzzard. Just flew right across me. I don't know how well the GoPro picked that up, but the sun was shining right on the back of her. And the other thing is, like, already you've got to take your hand off the throttle to press the record button on the GoPro. You don't want to be pressing the record button on a sound module hidden inside your jacket as well. I mean, you'd be then into sort of stopping and starting on the bike, pulling into the side of the road to set everything going and then stopping it. Waste of time. Just do it this way. It's easy, it's quick, it's foolproof, and it's the most affordable option as well. So this chain strap I bought off eBay or Amazon, I think, for not very much money, €15 or something like that. I'll put all the blurb below. Now, it's important you get a really tight fitting strap like this with a bit of silicone like that, because that stops it slipping around. And even though a GoPro camera is fairly light, when you start adding the audio module to it, and I even have heavier cages like that, I don't really want to go into that in this video. I want to show you my perfect setup, which is the cage that the GoPro Hero7 Black comes with, and a couple of little mounts on the bottom. Actually, do you know what? I'll show you that now, because it's important to have a mount which goes both ways. So, and that's so you can set the camera angle absolutely level, and it goes that way. So it's basically like a pan and tilt mount, if you like. So what I'm going to do now is to put the chin strap onto the helmet. I'll get close-up shots of this as well so you can see that. Right, there you go. That's on there now. Doesn't look bad. I quite like the blue flash on it, to be honest. But that's nice and tight, as you can see there, and the silicone pad behind it is going to stop it slipping. Right, next thing we'll do is to mount the camera on. Finish off tightening that up there now. Right, I'm not going to set anything firmly in place yet, and because it's going to be moving around quite a bit as I show you over the whole setup. So next thing is the audio interface adapter. I mean, you can, if you want, with a bit of double-sided tape, stick that onto your helmet like that, just to keep it out the way or something. I don't think there's any need to, because once you feed that up through there like that, the chin strap keeps it in place. You might have to bend around the lead a little bit, but that's okay. So as you can see there, that's all quite nice and solid like that. So, and that's pretty much the angle you'll have your camera at anyway, you see. So that's getting there already. And the other thing, the reason I put this sort of double joint in there, the pan tilt as I call it, which will come with any sort of standard GoPro kit anyway. The reason I do that is so you can shut your visor. Your visor doesn't catch on the camera there. So last but not least is the installation of the microphone inside the helmet. Many people I know have gone out and bought the best camera they can afford and all the mounts which go with it, all the backup batteries and mounts to stick it all over the bike, and then they scrimp and scrape on the price of the microphone. That's false economy if you ask me, because the microphone has equally as big a job as the camera to do. Because when you think about it, if the microphone's inside the helmet, it has to deal with you talking and shouting at loads of different levels, whatever, you know, we all get excited on a motorbike. It then has road noise to deal with, wind noise, rain noise, and then don't forget the engine noise of the motorbike. And all of that varies. All of those variables are huge, depending, you know, on what speed you're doing, what the weather's like. So it's worth it, in my opinion, to go out and buy the best possible microphone you can afford. I use this one. This is called a Tram TR50. There's another one I also use called a COS11. But for the helmet placement, I prefer this, the Tram TR50. It's about €300. It's not cheap, but believe me, it really does a great job. It comes with a load of different attachments, and one of the attachments it comes with is this little windshield, which you should leave on all of the time. You just pop that on like that. It's a really tight fit, so it's not going to fall off inside your helmet or anything like that. And you can bury that inside the sponge of the helmet. Now, the microphone doesn't have to be in front of your mouth by any means, and it can just be at the side behind the sponge. That's what I do. Clip it all back up, and you can hide the wire behind there as well. Leave enough, of course, to feed into the audio adapter, and then once you have that in, don't need to leave that much wire out, but plug that into the mic input on the audio adapter, and then just tuck the wire in like so down the side. Also, I leave the microphone inside the helmet at all times as well, even if I'm going for a spin without the camera, because the lead just comes out and tucks into the side padding again there. Obviously you tuck the wire in just to tidy it up, but yeah, you can just leave that in all the time. And there we have it. There we have the setup. Now, there's a few people been contacting me asking what are the best settings I use for the GoPro. Again, with all of my experience, all I can do is to share my settings, but in my view, they are the best and the most cinematic settings that you'll get from any GoPro camera. So what I'll do is I'll put this on a screen record on the app, so you can see what I'm at on the app, and I'll go through each setting one by one. Okay, so I'm gonna fire up the GoPro, then fire up the app on my phone. Go into settings, and there we go. So I'm just going to run down these settings one by one very quickly. I'm not going to go totally in depth with all of this. I'm just going to let you know that you've got your GoPro set up in the correct manner for motorcycle vlogging anyway. So your aspect ratio should always be 16:9. That's standard format. That's known as widescreen in the TV industry. There's nothing recorded in 4:3 anymore, which is what we recorded everything in up until the early 90s. So put that in 16:9. Resolution. Now this is a key one. Everybody thinks, oh yeah, I need to record 4K. You don't really, not for YouTube. Well, I certainly don't. I wouldn't use all of that space and memory and processor power. It drains your battery in the GoPro. It fills up your hard drives very quick on the computer, especially if you've got hours worth of footage in 4K. 1080 is absolutely fine. The correct dimensions are actually 1920 by 1080. So just select 1080 there. That is full HD. So you're totally fine by that. Now the frames per second, this is an important one. Because we're in the UK and Ireland and Europe, we're on PAL format. The US is on NTSC format. So because we're on PAL format, we'll be choosing 25 frames or denominations of that. You can see there on the screen 50, 100 and 200. If you go above 50, you're then into slow-mo territory. Don't even think about going into that when you're on a motorbike. So that's for another day. So stick with 25. That's the most filmic look from the GoPro. If you go into 50 frames even, it still plays at normal speed, but it has that sharp video look, which I just don't like. It looks like cheap video camera then, but 25 frames on a GoPro is actually called 25p. The P stands for progressive. Again, I'm keeping this very light and very simple. I won't go into that, but believe me, 25 frames progressive is what I shoot for a broadcast documentary. That gives any camera the most filmic look. Field of view on a GoPro, because the GoPro here is your main A cam, and you want to give your viewers that feeling as though they're riding on the bike with you and you're in the cockpit of the bike. You should set the field of view on wide when you're on a motorbike, because then it takes in all of the instrumentation panels, take in your windscreen and a big huge scape of the vista around you as well. So stick on wide. Video stabilization, of course, you want on. Short clip length off. The other thing, which is an important setting here, is ProTune. If you turn ProTune on, it gives you access to a few more manual settings like that. So EV compensation, that's your exposure compensation. Leave that at 0. ISO, another biggie. Minimum, well, the actual minimum you can go on a GoPro is 100. Leave it at that. The ISO is the sensor's sensitivity to light, basically. Don't go above 400, certainly on a GoPro. It changes, these values change for every camera out there, but on a GoPro, don't go above 400. Otherwise, especially at dusk or on a cloudy day, you'll start seeing grain in the picture, and it's horrible. We call it snow in the TV world, and it really shows up the limitations of the camera. So just stick maximum on 400. White balance, because you'll be outside on a motorbike, unless you're riding around your front room, a good setting to have is around 5,500 Kelvin. That sort of matches the daylight blue, you can, of course, you can experiment with all of the settings. I'm just telling you what I use. 6,000 warms the picture up a little bit too much for me. A natural daylight look is 5,500. Whatever you do, don't go down to the tungsten settings, which is 3,200 and thereabouts. Otherwise, your picture will end up just blue. You only make that mistake once. Certainly when you're shooting a documentary anyway. Right, I won't talk any more about that. Sharpness, GoPro sharpness. You'll see on many other forums, people say, yeah, set the sharpness to low because the sharpness is too great in a GoPro. Don't set the sharpness to low, because the amount of post-production you have to do in the edit to then increase the sharpness. I mean, if you're like me, when you get home from being on a motorcycle ride, you want to get the video out as soon as possible. Therefore, you want to do as least work as possible in your post-production editing process. So to eliminate a lot of work, believe me, just stick on the medium sharpness. And again, don't go on the high sharpness, because that just makes it look video-y. I hate it when the camera just looks video-y. So keep your shutter on auto, because we're not going to delve into using ND filters, which you can buy for the GoPros. That's sort of next level, you know, when you get the hang of all this. And I'm sure many of you watching this already use ND filters and set your shutter speed manually, and well done you. And of course, if we're in 25 frames progressive, you'll know that the correct shutter speed for that will be 50 frames. Anyway, I said I wasn't going to delve into that, so I'm skirting over that. Right, where are we? Color. Leave the color on flat. Because you've selected ProTunes, it'll give you that option. If you select the GoPro color, it's really contrasty. It's very saturated. It's just, again, not true to life. But if you leave it on flat, it's okay. It is a little bit flat when you take it into your editing process. But I think most editing platforms now, I use Final Cut Pro X, so that has loads of third-party add-ons for grading. Again, that's a video for another day, but just to get you going. Leave, where's it gone? Colour, yeah, flat. Jeepers, I need my eyes tested, which isn't good when I'm talking about cameras. Auto audio mode, group stereo only, that's grand. Don't start messing around with the wind only settings in there. Really destroys the audio. And the setup below, you can again set up this as to what country you're living in. English UK, which is PAL. Beeps low, LED on. Don't need to know about any of this really. You can mess around with that. I always leave my LCD brightness at around 85%. If you leave it on 100%, it really drains the battery a lot quicker. 85% is good because when it's on in front of your chin, you can still see on a bright sunny day, you can still see the screen, and more importantly, you can still see the little red recording dot just to let you know that you're still recording. And the other thing we're on there is, oh, there you go, there's the PAL, so keep it in PAL. There's your option if you're in America, NTSC. And that's pretty much it for the settings I use. So there you have it. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you were able to learn a thing or two, and you can go off riding and vlogging for hours now until your heart's content in the knowledge that you're getting the best possible image quality from your camera and also the best audio quality. So thanks once again for tuning in, folks. I'm Dave Perry. Please give me a like and a subscribe, as that all helps me to bring you future videos. But for now, safe riding.